big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the Landing Strip, brought to you by From Financial, as the San Jose Sharks are the only team worth a damn talking about tonight. As a fan of the Winnipeg Jets on Fan Appreciation Night, how are you feeling? We almost got the Detroit 8-1 special in-house, and I gotta say, great for the final touches on the lottery odds. The Jets will now have like a 96-97% chance odds to draft in the top 8 of the draft. They finished the year 7th from the bottom. I'm pretty sure their 34-point drop-off, being an NHL 500 team, makes this the biggest drop-off from a President's Trophy team to missing the playoffs year over year. And I gotta say, I think today was kind of symbolic in-house in many ways. We see a team who puts their lineup together, searching for these milestones. It's all about the individual milestones. Nino, you're going to get top 6 today. We're going to chase your 500th point. The top line is going to mail it in and only try and get Kyle Connor goal 40. And you have witnessing before your eyes a team that in their last 4 games, 2 of which were absolutely must-win games for their goals, lose a combined score of 24-7. 3 of those goals coming in a Utah game that was essentially out of reach by the time they put the rally together. The last 2 games on home ice, after sticking through watching these losers all year, is a combined 13-2 on home ice. Go look at Rick Bowness's reaction. Go look at Todd McLennan's reaction to how things ended in Columbus and Detroit. And I thought today was awfully symbolic because of the team it was against. One of the comparisons we've made is with where the Jets are. We don't want them to make the same early mistakes the late Thornton, Marleau, Sharks were making, right? And we see right in front of our eyes on our own home rink what lottery picks and a rebuild looks like versus this core that apparently is knocking on the door of a Stanley Cup any minute now. Any minute now, folks, it's coming around. I thought it was symbolic to see a team that's taken that step run this one right out of the building. So much so, you know what the most exciting thing in-house today, Mikey, was?
What was that?
There was nothing to cheer about. So they got the Winnipeg Wave. And the audience in-house was able to provide their own entertainment on this Fan Appreciation Night. Lots to talk about, don't you think? In a game that I was going in, honestly, carefree. Whatever happens, happen. If they sneak out a win, it's a drop in 1, it's fine. Let's see a competitive game. Get to watch Macklin Celebrini, who thankfully made the cost of tickets worthwhile on this night. Sets a franchise record at 19 years old, passing Joe Thornton for points.
Unreal.
You want to sell tickets. Those are the type of guys that are going to start doing it.
Yep.
Good for San Jose. That touch pass on that goal, the kid is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Let's get into where the Winnipeg Jets are. There was free pop, as Victoria points out. Got some of that. My prize win wasn't too big. We don't need to discuss that one. Let's get into it. A lot of places they can go as this core that a segment of the audience wants to keep together dodges the media tonight, and we get Dylan DeMello off one of his worst games in the NHL being accountable, and we get Cole Koepke out there in front of the media letting us know This core is built to win. It's just all so funny. Let's get into it. Mikey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm a little bit sad, not because of the result on the ice, but because it's the last time we're going to get to sing this for a little while. So let's hit our tank song, everybody.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. We'll soon be here.
We are so close. It will soon be here. That draft lottery is creeping up real fast. The draft itself will be here before you know it, and we're going to see if the pain of this season was worth it in the end, if the hockey gods are going to smile on us. There's a lot to talk about with the game itself tonight as well. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little sad that, it's all starting to come to an end here.
Is it? Let's get into it. Who is your tank commander for the Winnipeg Jets in Game 82? A 6-1 shellacking to the Winnipeg, or to the San Jose Sharks.
For chunks of the game, I was thinking about it, and I was going to give it to Scott Arniel, just because, without him, we wouldn't have had a tank commander award to give out, I feel like, this year. He was a nice big part of that, big part of the team. But as the game went on and on, I've decided that it's going to the top line. It's going to the first line, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele. Absolutely embarrassing tonight. One of the worst, just one of the most painful experiences to watch them try to do anything at all tonight that involved anything beyond the center line back. It was really painful. The Kyle Connor specifically, and look, I'm a big Kyle Connor fan. I think I give him a lot more leeway than some of the other fan base, just for the fact that I'm a sucker for goals. I like them. I think they're valuable. I think you can have somebody be a passenger and just score a lot of goals. I think the Phil Kessel comparison is usually a compliment. I'm going to be honest. But if there is any if there's any less give a shit than what you saw tonight from Kyle Connor, you'd be hard pressed to find it.
Speaking of which. Hey, Leslie, we set the perfect line on the plus money on the over-under
the
other day at 3.5 for them. Leslie, stop it. It's fine. That was me. I'm sorry about that.
Nope, all good.
And
I took the under.
We said, yeah, you took the under at 3.5. I took the slight over at 3.5. Ladies and gentlemen, the scoreboard's in. There's a couple scoreboards to update here. Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, unique and special after sticking together all 82 games. I don't know how they're going to live this summer after playing 82 games attached to the hip, 246 periods, every overtime. I don't know how they're going to handle a long off season like what's coming in Winnipeg.
Yep.
It's got to be tough. That's got to be tough.
You're going to see them playing street hockey together out there. Don't worry about it. They'll be out there all summer together.
The final line for unique and special. They outscored their minutes. Their second biggest total in the last 5 years. But it comes in on the under.
Yes.
Mikey gets it.
Woo!
At 5-on-5. Unique and special. Win their minutes in goals. 72-69. Essentially, every 27 games, folks, they're going to outscore their minutes by 1, and we're going to get our way to contention doing this way. This is their second highest plus in the last 5 years, by the way. It's their only second plus in the last 5 years. What was their minutes tonight as they pathetically chased down Kyle Connor's 40th? I'm glad he missed that last breakaway, honestly.
It's kind of fitting, unfortunately. That's a tough one to swallow if you're the player, but it just kind of fits the theme of the way the season's gone.
We got an under 20 minutes, surprised, 18.5. But we get 3 goals as the big gap after 82 games of this project, and they put in an absolute embarrassing night tonight.
Yeah.
And then they send Cole Koepke to let everyone know that the score is still good, folks.
Yeah.
This team's going to bounce back.
Well, I mean, if there was any question on whether or not Koepke's going to be back, you have to have him back now. After that, you can double up his role as PR person and as fourth line. It's great. You'll be saving 2 salaries in one. It's absolutely hilarious that they sent out Dylan DeMello and Cole Koepke to go face the media when your season, the way that it's gone, the minutes that you've played have been so heavily influenced by Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. And look, I know some people may want you to think that, the amount of minutes they play don't actually impact things, but hey, guess what?
30.
When they're playing the most amount of minutes every single game, yeah, I think those are probably your most important players, your most responsible players, good or bad. You would think they'd be the ones wanting to come out and, face that, but nope, not going to happen. You'll get an extra 3 goals in a season as long as the two of them are attached at each other's hip.
Some Tank Commanders over in the chat. Blake G's Tank Commander is Iafallo and Pionk, and that's who Arniel pinned these losses on. I could not believe it.
Yep.
When asked about these last 4 games,
Mm-hmm.
he goes on this tirade that we're missing some big pieces. If Neil Pionk and Alex Iafallo are big pieces for this team to be successful, I can't even be harsh enough on this core. If that is what's being spoken about. If those two are big pieces, that makes your team let in an average of 6 goals against down the last 4 games. I've been generous.
I mean,
this roster,
this is
this
an
organization.
This is an organization that was tanked by Chaz Lucius's retirement, apparently. So yeah, Neil Pionk and Alex Iafallo. Look, Iafallo's the Scheifele whisperer, right? You put him up there when things aren't going well, and it gets him going again. So it's it's that second level. It's the intangibles that you're missing. That's what they bring. That's why, honestly, when Arniel went, we're missing some big pieces, I actually went, who? And I had to go look at the injury report.
Same.
I had to check, and I'm like, who's out? And I'm like, he doesn't mean Salo. He doesn't remember he's on the team. Who does he mean? I guess Pionk, which is amazing with his 1 goal on the season, is absolutely crucial and missing from this lineup. Yep, you got it, Scott.
Rihanna's Tank Commander is whatever that effort was by the Jets team.
Yeah.
Not all players, but that's like a handful that passed the test.
Yep.
Vibe Up points out good news, Garrett Brown. We'll talk about that in a bit. Tikon Apolli's Tank Commander is KFC. Silver Scrub's Tank Commander is no pride, no effort. Certainly telling.
Yeah, they were asked about it in the post game as well. Was there a drop off after finding out about not making it? And DeMello did his best to say, no, there's, we don't really look at it that way. We've got games still to play. We've got to put our best effort in no matter what. And when they asked Arniel, he was just like, yeah, no, after that we were done. The effort dropped off. The give a shit dropped. He was just like, yeah, they quit essentially at that point. So that was real nice to hear from Arnie. I do appreciate the times where he's honest.
I'm going to give us an anti-Tank Commander award from Brett. You here saying this pod is sanity, and Cranberry saying, seriously, Brett, it has been so cathartic. I'm glad we could bring you that this season. This pod has been cathartic for us as well to get through this this year. Some more Tank Commanders. Let's see if I see anything else in the chat here. Tank Commander, where do I want to go? It's game 82. The Winnipeg Jets just faced the biggest drop-off from a President's Trophy team. 34 points, 500 on the nose. Mikey, I believe you said the first year the Winnipeg Jets were back in Winnipeg, they finished with more points?
Yeah.
Was that accurate?
In the 2011-2012 season with Andre Pavlik, Andrew Ladd, Jim Slater scoring double-digit goals, your Winnipeg Jets finished with 84 points. They're going to finish with 82 this season. They finished worse than coming over from Atlanta when everybody said, oh, that was a terrible team. The cupboards were bare. They only had one line. Hey, wait, that sounds really familiar. Hold on a second. All of those things sound real. The cupboards are bare. They've got no secondary scoring. Everything's only on one line. That's a little weird. But yeah, even in that season, they somehow managed to get 84 points. As opposed to 16 years later, while Kevin Cheveldayoff is still the GM of your Winnipeg Jets, they had a worse showing, still with empty cupboards. It's really nice to see in the 50th season we can bring that full circle.
Here we go. Let's keep this in mind. So we just saw the biggest drop-off. We just heard you tell us that the Atlanta Thrashers era, year 1, finished better than this team. I have some tough news, folks. I get why there's a thought process of a President's Trophy team was so good the year prior that they're going to bounce back. Let's look at a dose of reality here. The Winnipeg Jets are the 5th President's Trophy team to then miss the playoffs in league history. Mikey, do you know how many of those teams bounced back and played in the playoffs the next year?
Ooh. I don't off the top of my head. I would guess maybe 2 of them.
You would be over. There has been one team that has missed the playoffs after being a President's Trophy team.
Can I guess?
Go for it.
The Ottawa Senators?
No.
Shit.
It was the 93 Rangers. They went on to win a cup.
Oh, yeah.
They went to win the World Cup. Now go look at the roster.
Yeah.
And
Moose
that was
is
a
the
pre-cap.
captain still, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. That was a pre-cap NHL. That was a 24-team NHL. In the cap era, not a single team
0.
that went from President's Trophy to missing the playoffs has bounced back to make the playoffs. We just saw the Rangers invest their first into JT Miller to try and get back. Didn't happen. Buffalo Sabres spent a ton of money in 2007 in free agency. Kicked off a lot of shit for that Buffalo Sabres franchise. The only team that reacted to a missed President's Trophy and sold was the Boston Bruins. And that's when they did the Dougie Hamilton trade for 2 firsts. And they were able to get back in the playoffs. I think it was they missed one more, and they got back in year 3.
Right.
I get why the common consensus would be like, oh, no, look at this core just did it a year ago. It bounces back. That doesn't happen. It hasn't happened in the cap era. So for all of that to keep in mind, the Tank Commander on Game 82, the Winnipeg Jets season, is very obvious. It is Kevin Cheveldayoff. This was 15 years of work encapsulated on utter disappointment. This was 15 years of work that prioritized individuals over the crest of the Winnipeg Jets. This was 15 years of work that has brought you back in a similar position than where this team was when the Atlanta Thrashers first entered Winnipeg. After the last 18 to 20 months of Kevin Cheveldayoff's job, this is where he's brought in his life's work. He is the ultimate Tank Commander. He has missed on how many roos in a row? And you see this big of a fall off, which is unheard of. This is the 15-year resume, folks. It was nice to see Murat say Kevin Cheveldayoff should no longer be untouchable in this market. Let's lay it out there. It's been 15 years. This is what it culminated in. They have won 4 playoff rounds in 15 years. They are a bottom 10 team and playoff games won with 2 of the teams behind them playing in the playoffs this year. In the last 5 years, let's not even look at the last 15. We could judge him on the last 15. In the last 5 years, in the peak of Connor Hellebuck's powers, and while getting a Josh Morrissey top 5 to top 10 defenseman breakout, though the breakout happens after the first start of this cutoff. In the last 5 years of Connor Hellebuck's career, they have missed the playoffs more than they have won playoff rounds. That's just the last 5 years. They have not gotten out of the second round in 8 seasons.
Yep.
The Tank Commander is one man that put this whole project together. I have to ask you, leaving this season, and we're going to hear exit interviews tomorrow. We won't hear from Chevy and Arneal till next week. We'll do the locker room day stuff after Arneal and Cheveldayoff talk. We'll keep the player stuff in mind for that conversation.
Yeah.
But what is the purview of a GM? It's to build the NHL roster, it's to manage the scouting staff, manage draft and development. The roster, he's gone over like a dozen in his last 18 months.
Yep.
To not only miss the window he had built for himself, but to shut it completely shut with ill-advised moves. The process has been a problem for a while, and they were able to get one big year out of it and bought into it. The development system, the Moose can't be trusted with anybody.
Nope.
Whose purview is that? The GM's got to be. These are your most precious assets in Winnipeg.
Yep.
And you've let them
go
to rot. You've hit one first rounder since Kyle Connor was drafted in Cole Perfetti, who has very mixed reviews depending on who you ask in this market. What has he done well? What is like the looking at this culmination of work the last 5 years? What is the defining thing that convinces you he is the only man that can do the job in Winnipeg? What's the defining trait right now? You know what it is?
He answers
the phone.
He's got
two defining traits. He's got two defining traits. He's pretty good at getting out of a bad situation. Who puts himself into those situations, though?
Mm-hmm.
But he's gotten out of some pretty bad situations. One thing he's done well. You know what else he's done really well? In this draft and develop and trying to win model, trying to have your cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
He's done really well at drafting, developing, and destroying asset value with the players not coming up, but losing their trade value and what they're worth on the market. Great at that.
Absolutely.
Fantastic at that. Those are the defining traits. At some point, to be a general manager in the NHL, your defining trait can't be when he's backed into a corner, he's able to stabilize himself.
Yep.
Because he's the only one that's worked 15 years to get himself into these corners. He's the one that's supposed to understand everything that's going on, and he still finds himself in these corners. Does well getting out of those corners. At some point, that cannot be your defining trait as a general manager and expect to be successful in this sport.
No, 100%.
Misevaluated his roster, misevaluated where it was, misevaluated what it needed. And what's so funny is the Jets, through their success last year, saw what failed to work with Nashville and decided, hey, we're going to try to do what Barry Trotz did. And Nashville finished higher than them this year.
Yep.
The Barry Trotz, who everyone was calling for his head and was happy, he resigned.
Yep.
Finished ahead of Kevin Cheveldayoff's project.
Yep.
And Kevin Cheveldayoff modeled his offseason after what screwed Nashville.
And did a worse job.
It's remarkable stuff.
It truly is. Chevy was supposed to have been this great prospect guru, right? That's why they hired him out of Chicago. He was so involved. He built that Chicago group that went on, afterwards and turned into a dynasty when he was running their American Hockey League team. He cares about the prospects. That's where he's going to come in because Winnipeg, we're not going to get free agents, so we need to build through the draft. So we went out and we got this guy because he's the guy. And then they proceeded to hit on a bunch of, really early picks. We were like, hey, this is working out great. Until we find out that, that was actually the work of one of the best head of amateur scouting that was around at the time, who unfortunately no longer is with the organization in that role. And from that point on, you've had a couple guys go on to become like true full-time NHL, bona fide players. And the rest have been misses or delayed or having to trade up for absolutely replaceable product. It's a joke, right? You've gotten to this point where our prospect pool is empty, according to him. Again, this is according to Kevin Cheveldayoff. We don't have draft capital. We don't have the prospect capital to go out and do things. So not me saying it, him letting us know that our cupboards are bare. Our prospect system in general is rated extremely lowly by the people who do this for a living, right? Not just us who talk about it, the people who actually do this, right? The people who are ranking and evaluating these prospects in these systems, the ones that are the actual experts are saying, hey, there is a real problem in Winnipeg. Nowhere else would that be acceptable. But like you'd go, okay, well, hold on. Maybe they're having regular season success and they're getting to the playoffs and they're winning a few rounds. And hey, look, they won the President's Trophy. Great. Are we able to sustain that? Is there any follow-up on that? What happens when he needs to then capitalize on that? When you're proactive and you need to do something to put this group over, you get last trade deadline and you get this offseason, which set you back more than any other team has been set back in a President's Trophy winning season.
Crazy.
Kevin Cheveldayoff in any other market with any other owner still would not have a job. And that's with owners as fucking nutty as Aquilini in fucking Vancouver. Like, it doesn't matter. It would not have happened for 15 years in one spot with no tangible results to show for it. And not even the idea of it. There's not the hope of it right now because, again, we have no prospect system, apparently, nothing in the cupboards, an aging core. And, you just got smacked around by the San Jose Sharks, who are showing you the exact way to do it. And you're just like, nah, I think we're going to be okay over here. I know this doesn't work for anyone else, but maybe for us.
It was nice to see the saxophones getting louder out inside this market. And I want to go somewhere. And I've said this before, but going into this offseason, I think it's important to reiterate. Winnipeg Jets are in a pretty bad spot. And I think Sean Reynolds on the KNR show laid it out really well on their last episode. Shout out Sean. But he sees things very similar to Lee, to how I do. There's basically, from this point, there's two pathways for the Winnipeg Jets when you're modeling out where this is going to go. The Winnipeg Jets upper management, ownership, and this core have decisions to make here because there's two pathways at this point. You could be the mushy middle team, run this back like we're all expecting, and quietly go into the abyss that we've seen Vancouver be in the last decade, Calgary be in the last decade, with no tangible farm system to get excited about as that fall off happens. Mark Scheifele's 33 years old, 34 years old, 33, 34, one of two. He's been in the league 15 years now, or since he was drafted. Connor Hellebuyck, same age. Adam Lowry, same age. When the fall off happens, it happens drastically. The Winnipeg Jets can go down that path, maybe sneak into an occasional wild card. Though with the state of the Central, I'm not sure that's in the cards. Yeah. But you can chase wild card too. You can chase it. Yep. You might get in, might play 5 games, and might convince yourself you're close. It might happen. I'm not ruling out another playoff appearance. I don't think it'll be consistent. Or you look at this. You tap yourself on the back for the drafting, development, and the careers of Connor Hellebuyck, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, and Josh Morrissey, and you look at this and say, these guys can bring legitimate young assets. We have to reset what we have. We have to build some kind of future here, and it's going to lead to 3 or 4 down years. But the other path leads to a decade. And each year you go, you are risking one of those assets that can help speed this up, getting hurt, falling off, age-related decline. Who knows? It's a dangerous game, and I thought Sean nailed that. These are the two pathways at this point for this organization. You take the big step, you get fun and young and sell hope, or you go down the path where you're looking at statues, individual points, saying someone retired here, but being left with bare bones and no success to show for it. That is where they are.
Yep.
Not fun to hear, not fun to think about, but that is where they are.
And if this season is anything to look at, right, if past performance is any indication of future performance, that's the road that they're going down. And the ironic thing is, all the people who scream about, we can't have a 10-year rebuild like Buffalo, no one will survive a 10-year, we can't have a 10-year, but that's the path that you're on by committing to this group. That's the issue, right? There is no quick way out of this. Shout out to 204 Raw on our YouTube chat here, right? Jets have 11 forwards under team control, Perfetti and Rosén as RFAs, and 6 D-men signed already for next year. There is no quick retool. There is no, we're going to shift a few things here and there. Either you're bringing that whole group back and running this back again, which that's the camp that I think that they are going to do, or you have to blow it up and you start that rebuild process now. And like you said, you're going to have a down year for 3-ish years.
2 years.
But that's a lot better than the next 10 years finishing just outside the playoffs, maybe getting a wild card too, just outside the playoffs again and again and again before you actually realize, or not even realize, before these players just age out. And then you're forced to start that 3-year clock at that point. That's how you end up in that 10-year cycle. It's not because you're tanking for 10 years straight and you're bad. If somebody was the number one pick or teams were picking in that 1 to 4 spot for 10 years straight, that's a super team, or you don't know how to draft, right? That doesn't happen that way. That's why you go through these cycles. We've seen it. We've had the salary cap era for 20 years now. We know what these cycles look like. It's this weird thing that we believe that only here in Winnipeg we don't have to abide by that, and we're gonna make it last and go all the way through and still win a cup, which I honestly don't think that is the goal right now with this group. They've really made a marketed point lately to stress that, well, the goal is just getting in. The goal is just to get in. That's the ultimate goal every season. That's our main goal, is just to get in, which the reframing of that after a President's Trophy winning season, being told this was a cup contending window for 5 years, 10 years, this is the dawn of a new era. They're going to be going deep every year to, hey, look, we're just trying. We're scraping to get in every year, guys. This is all we can do. So if you're going to do it, now is the time to do it. You've got opportunities around the league. You've got players that have a lot of value. You could reshape the future of your club really quickly this summer if you wanted to go down that road. I firmly believe that they're going to look at the quote unquote stability that they have by having all of these guys come back next season, outside of, Heinola, who gets to be a UFA because they don't know how to manage a fucking roster and get him the right amount of games and not lose a first round pick to nothing.
I saw a couple good comparisons here that I think are relevant to this situation. Where was it here? Caitlin Doucette says, we're going to become to Dallas and Colorado what the Kings are to the Oilers. I think that's like best case scenario too, to be honest.
We don't have an Anze Kopitar.
Jordy Angus said, this is the Jim Benning era Canucks now. Either you keep hopelessly trying to retool and fail miserably, or start over.
Yep. I think that is the best comparison at the moment, to be totally honest. The Benning era Canucks, that's exactly where you are. You've got Scheifele as your Horvat. Like, it all kind of lines up.
It's nerve-wracking, brother. Let's get into the From Financial Face-Off on this night. And then on the back half, I was talking to someone after our last show, and it sparked an interesting addition to maybe the conversation around this core. We'll get into that after the From Financial Face-Off. What was the difference between the San Jose Sharks and Winnipeg Jets on this night? What was the difference on this season? Let's get in the From Financial Face-Off.
Let's hit it.
Thanks for calling the landing strip. You're on the air. What would you like to talk about?
Right on. Phone lines are open. 1-204-800-0409. 1-204-800-0409. Get on the line. Give us a call. Let us know you're from Financial Face-Off and anything else you want to talk about.
On the topic of big conversations coming around this core, we'll get into more of it locker room day. Choices TK does say something to choke on here, or chew on. Boston traded Marchand. Tampa let Stamkos rock. Avs traded Rantanen. Tell me again why 55 and 81 are untouchable. What was the From Financial Face-Off on this night? Mikey, what do you got?
All right. So for this game specifically, it's been a thing all year long. Their play in front of the net. If you take a quick look, I threw it up on the screen now. the heat map from this game, everything is concentrated right in Eric Comrie's face. They did absolutely nothing to make room for Eric Comrie, let him see the puck, be there for when the puck does kind of come out after the initial save. Absolutely atrocious. There was no effort involved in trying to clear the front of the net, and all of their goals essentially came from that spot. So,
Great pull. Great pull. Nicholset Knights from Financial Faceoff is the Sharks have elite young talent that will become a true Stanley Cup contending team in a few years' time. The Jets have their hands down their pants, fantasizing that's what they are. Choices from Financial Faceoff is pride in valuing winning over individual achievement, being a team versus a club. I think that's a conversation that should happen around what we saw down the stretch. I'm going to call our own number here on the From Financial Faceoff in a night where we're flirting at 65 plus on YouTube, another big number live. Great to have all of you here. The Winnipeg Jets, core guys, were playing for themselves.
Hey.
We heard it from Nino. We watched them chase Connor's 40th. We've watched some of the efforts down this stretch. I'm going to say my From Financial Faceoff is this show and this community we've built up. I was looking at some of the numbers on YouTube from the beginning of the year. A lot of our episodes are doing 4 to 5 times more views, so we appreciate all of your support, the community growing and wanting to be a part of this. This is what it's all about. Doing this after every game definitely has made it more enjoyable, getting to run these ideas by all of you, getting to chat every night, getting to let out our frustrations, getting our ideas out there. Obviously, it was a pretty tough year for me health-wise, and having this show as something to look forward to and getting to have these conversations with you was huge for what I was able to kind of come out of it with. So shout out to you, Mikey, for being here every night. Shout out to our lovely community that continues to grow. We appreciate your support. Shout out to Ozzy Fromm and the Fromm Financial family. As soon as I told him we were looking at doing something like this, he wanted to get involved right away and believed in it. So shout out Ozzy. Make sure to check them out over on social media. He does a great job with little tips and tricks on video. Give him a call. Just appreciate. We're going to call our own number here. I appreciate the landing strip and the community that has come out of this and what we continue to do. And I appreciate everyone that's been here through it all.
That's really good. That's perfect because we've got people waiting on the line who want to let us know they're from Financial Faceoffs.
Let's hear it.
All right. Thank you so much for holding, caller. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, guys. It's Rihanna, longtime listener, first-time caller. How's it going?
Rihanna.
Good. How are you doing, Rihanna? Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I figured, final game of the year, might as well call in and give my 2 cents.
What do you got for us tonight? Let's hear it.
Well, it was pretty evident in tonight's game, too, is since when did we go from prioritizing the team success, putting that second, and then making sure that every individual milestone was met? Because it's quite funny that in tonight's game, the only effort you really saw, aside from, say, Kepke, was when Casey, Velarde, and Nino were on the ice, all trying to make sure that they got those milestones set tonight. Other than that,
it was evident.
Who cared about the Jets win? I know for the tank and for the lottery, we needed the Jets to lose. But, you're telling me that we weren't – the only time we were going to make an effort to get a goal was when either of those 3 players were on the ice to get a milestone? We weren't going to try and get a goal any other way?
Nope. Had to be certain guys. There's a certain way to do things in Winnipeg, and they had to die by it tonight, apparently.
It's just crazy. I don't normally mind going for a milestone, but when it's evident that the only way, to get Shife's milestone, the only way I see any effort from this team in the last little while was when it was Nino's 1,000th game or, Shifley getting his 100th point. And the only effort again tonight, trying to get those guys their milestones. Otherwise, if those guys were on the ice, the only player that was playing worth a damn was Kepke. And it's so sad that we are going from a team mindset to go chase your individual goals. The team stuff can wait till later. Like, when later? Individual milestones aren't getting us into the playoffs.
It in fact led to the biggest drop-off in the history of the league from a President's Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's ideal.
Right? I mean, last year, I don't think individual milestones played a huge factor in, I don't even know what milestone. Well, I think Haley had a milestone, but I mean,
You know what's kind of funny?
Last year, sorry?
You know what's kind of funny, actually, with last season? We had about 8 players have career years last season in terms of points and goals and all of that, but because they were the role players, the guys who are the, lower level, quote unquote, not part of the in club, it wasn't celebrated, it wasn't talked about. All we talked about was team success. This year, you flip it over, and now it's, we got to get Mark Scheifele his points. We got to get him to break that record. They opened the show today saying, Mark Scheifele could, if he gets points tonight, he could end up top 5 first time in 2.0 history that a Jet, I agree 100% with what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, that's true, because like I said, the only milestone that I could recall off the top of my head from last season was Helly with, I think he had X amount of shutouts and games played and whatever, and it was they had that whole night for him. I mean, I was at that game, so that's the only milestone I can remember. But yeah, I don't remember ever the team sacrificing anything in the pursuit of those individual goals. And then this year, for some reason they're just meh, we got this. We don't need to, worry about the team. We can still make the playoffs with individual. It's crazy how I can pinpoint the individual milestones this year and the effort in comparison compared to seasons past where I, can barely remember any milestones because the Jets were doing well enough that I didn't have to think about these individual milestones. I only remember the Jets ever giving up or helping other teams get their milestones. And then this year, the Jets were no, we're tired of helping other teams get theirs. We're going to sacrifice our teams to get our own milestones.
That's right.
It's definitely something to talk about with the leadership of this group, and I have a theory coming up here. Rihanna, thanks for the call. Thanks for being along for the ride this year. Always appreciate your comments in the chat. It was nice to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully I'll call again in the future.
Right on.
Sounds good. I'm hoping so. So we got a few more From Financial Face-Offs, and then I want to get into a bit of a leadership
and we've
conversation.
We got one more call as well.
Okay, let's go to it.
Hey, caller, thank you so much for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, it was just Raul phoning. How's it going, guys?
Hey,
good, Raul. How you doing, buddy?
I just thought I'd give you a shout. I don't know if I've called all year, but just on your guys' what you guys have been talking about, and this is not necessarily what I fully think, but just trying to think how the Jets normally think. And I think sometimes there's a self-correction, you do something for so long, eventually I think, you might change your ways. But regardless, I kind of mentioned in the chat, the Jets have, so Mike McIntyre said Cole Koepke's likely to be re-signed, he just tweeted that out or something. So the Jets have 12 forwards under team control now, assuming Roseanne and Lambert, Roseanne and who's the other? Perfetti, are the 2 RFAs. So the forward group is pretty much kind of set, right? It seems like. Are they going to trade out of Vlad or Nino? Probably not, but maybe they do because just because they've done it for so long, maybe they realize, hey, now's the time. But yeah, regardless, the forward lineup, you could probably already see it being set because the 12 players under contract. Yep. And then the 6D are under contract too. I think they'll sign a vet third pair left-handed D because Fleury's not a regular. So the top 4 is already set, and then Salamonte's your right D. You can already start making the roster because that's kind of, I look at the contracts and how that lines up because the Jets don't trade out of contracts. But I think the Jets view this team, to me, there's 7 teams this year who had multiple top 20 NHL scorers. Edmonton, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Montreal, Tampa Bay, 6 playoff teams, and then Winnipeg. So I think they see, okay, Scheifele, Connor are top scorers. They clearly have a depth problem, which is easier to get than a elite scorer problem. And then you look at the power play. Like, yeah, Ehlers is gone, and I just don't think the Jets power play, still with Connor, those 2 top 20 scorers, and a Norris caliber defenseman, and Velarde can be 24th in the NHL. And so of those 7 teams I mentioned, Colorado is somehow worse, but all the other teams are first, second, fifth, 10th, and 17th in power play. So there's no reason the Jets power play should be worse than Vancouver's, who I think was like 14th in the league. I don't I get it. Ehlers is gone, but you still have Connor who puts up 40 goals. You still have Scheifele who puts up 100 points. You still have Morrissey who puts up, top 10 in defenseman scoring, and you still have Velarde. You can't be 24th, you can't be bottom 10 with that cast. I don't care. I don't care who about Ehlers being gone. You just cannot be bottom 10 with those sets of players. And then lastly, or not lastly, but another point I had just with Hellebuyck, if we want to say he's one of the modern GOATs, he can't just get by. We can't just scoff at or dismiss at 895 NHL
100%.
or save percentage. He played
100%.
less. He was injured, and he still was like 4th in the league in most games played. What would the commentary be if McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov put up league average, whatever that is, for scoring? You know what I mean? So if we think Hellebuyck is one of the GOATs, you can't have it both ways, in my opinion. And just like on the same shot volume, a 910, like not even a 920, which is kind of has been his recent average. A 910 is about 20 goals against better. Can anyone not see Hellebuyck having that 910 at least next year? And a 920 is about 40 goals against better. So let's not go 920. Let's say around a 910, 20 goals against better. And then the power play, they're 24th in the league. Like, can we get middle of the pack? Like with Connor and Scheifele, you should be middle of the pack, and Morrissey, you should be middle of the pack. That's about 15 goals better. So 30, 35 goals better. I think there's some improvements that could be had there. And the second line, people might shit on me and chat might shit on me, but Perfetti is not it on the second line. I heard all of last year it's a mess, or he wasn't playing with players or whatever the case, or this year he got paired with Velarde. What's the second lines with Velarde, Lowry, and Perfetti's goals per 60? Out of the lines that played 200 minutes, there's about 77 lines. They were bottom 10. So we heard it's Nemeskov's fault. Okay, we heard it's like he didn't have forwards this year. Velarde gets put there, and they're still struggling. They still struggle to score goals. So I don't know. I just don't see it with Perfetti as a surefire top sixer. He could be a good little complimentary guy, but I think if you're banking on him on being someone to push offense and whatnot, I don't think he's it. He had 5-5-on-5 goals this year, and over the last 2 years, he has 2 less 5-on-5 goals than Mason Appleton. So, I don't know. I don't see him as and what's his career high in assists, 30 or something? These are okay numbers. So I think I forgot where I was going with this, but I think the Jets view that they still have 2 very elite players, and then Morrissey. I think 895 is not the norm for Hellebuyck. I think they'll see, okay, he's one of the best goalies in the league, and 910, 915 next year. Maybe not the 920 feats we were used to with goal scoring going up, but 910, 915 is still very good in today's NHL. And with that, plus a little bit better power play, I think they'll view this team as a playoff team. Is it a cup team? I don't know, is how about putting up an 860 in the save percentage in the playoffs, because they're not going to win the cup with that. But yeah, that's all I had for you guys. I'll hang up and kind of listen.
Hold on. Two questions for you. Two questions for you based on everything you said here. Okay, so you believe they're going to be better than the 24th overall team. Where do you think this core generally fits from like a number in the league wise?
Sorry, Nick. I have a little trouble hearing you there. It's kind of choppy for me. So
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to go back and forth. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries, Mikey. We'll move from there.
And we've got one more call. You ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for holding. We've got Diamond Dave.
Hey, fellas. How you doing?
Hey, Dave.
Good. How are you doing, Diamond Dave?
Good, man. I just want to I'll start here. First of all, there's one great thing that's come out of this tire fire of the Winnipeg Jets season. It is the best damn hockey podcast in the market.
Thank you, sir.
Hands down, any market. It's been just a pleasure to spend with you every loss. So I want to paint a bit of a picture. A bit older than I think you and most of the listeners. My first Jets game was in 1987 against the Red Wings at the Old Barn. The Jets played their last game when Norm McIver scored the last ever goal in the Winnipeg Arena on my 14th birthday. I'm turning 44 years old in 12 days. Just to paint a bit of a picture. So just sort of everything that I've kind of seen. And I have to say, just, experiencing this like in Jets 1.0, where Teemu Selanne is traded in that last season for Chad Kilger and Oleg Teverdovsky, I have to say this all begins to blend into one of the same as far as like team mismanagement and just not giving a shit about the fans. And to the point that the earlier caller made, Leanne, I think she was, about the individual points. Something that Sean Reynolds said on the pod the other day on his pod was that, they're really wanting that statue for Mark Scheifele. And it's really like, what is the thing that we're trying to solve for? Are we trying to solve for a Stanley Cup, or are we trying to solve for a statue of the guy who ripped off his personal chef and is being sued for it? Right? Like, is that what we're really trying to solve for here? And, could you at the top of your head, could you tell me, and I know who this is, without Googling, do you know who the Manitoba Moose goalie coach is? Without looking it up?
Yep.
Who is it?
They share a goalie coach with the Jets. It's Wade Flaherty.
No, it's Drew McIntyre.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Their,
right, yes. My apologies. Right.
I mean, unless the site is out of date, which I wouldn't put past you.
No, you're right.
That's entirely possible. It's Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
The GM of the Moose is Craig Heisinger. This is the organizational prowess led by Chevy at the top, Arneal, Zinger, and Drew McIntyre that's going to take us to the promised land of the Stanley Cup. And I think at a certain point we have to evaluate this as a cultural thing, as you boys are doing so well. And so, to that end, I'll wrap up by saying that this is a big league. It's the big leagues. We're in the majors. I called, I think in December or January, talking about how here in LA, the hockey pundits were talking about the LA Kings' catastrophic season. Well, the LA Kings are in a playoff spot. And somewhere Chevy's thinking, well, we had a bad year, but at least we're not the LA Kings. They had a catastrophic season. That's not us. Right?
At some
anyway,
point,
that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on this season, and just the whole thing.
Hey, Diamond Dave, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you being a part of the show. Thank you for the kind words at the beginning there, and we'll get into all of that as we keep diving through this.
Keep doing you guys. We love it.
I appreciate that. As Mike Friesen says, this show would have made the playoffs. I want to bounce back because I think Rahul got into a lot of good stuff in there, and I'm trying to bounce between ideas. So the last thing I remember him talking about, and I see Rahul's in the chat. So Rahul, I want to know if you don't believe this team's a 24th level team, which I think is fair to come to a conclusion there. Whereabouts do you believe it falls in? Because I want to use that. That was kind of what I was trying to bounce back and forth with you. I want to start. Rahul's not getting shit from me. He might from you, Mikey. This might be a little bit. I think he's correct on the Cole Perfetti stuff. And this is going to play into more of this retool too. I like Adam Lowry and Cole Perfetti as a duo. I think if you want this team to be contending, that's a third line. Right now, that's penciled in as your second line drivers. So I'm wondering, on a take, I genuinely agree with him at this point. Like, when you start comparing 5-on-5 goal numbers to Mason Appleton, I'm sorry, we can't hide from it. And I like what's developed between Lowry and Perfetti, but I think if we're being honest about this situation, if you're trying to get to a contender level, I think that's your duo on the third line. So my question becomes, where do you find an entire second line this summer if you want to bounce back? Like, I think that's a huge ask to start thinking about that.
Yep.
I think that's a fair take. I agree with it, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, right. If we're talking about,
but it just adds to the task at hand here.
The question is, are we talking about a contending team, right? If it is, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You would want Adam Lowry to be that third line center. You would want Cole Perfetti to be on that third line because you're going to be able to take advantage of some matchups that way. You're going to be able to have some offense coming from that line, but it has to be your third line if you're if you're a contender, right? It can't be your second line, and right now they're expected to be your second line, carry some offense, still have Adam Lowry, go out and play the shutdown role because that's the role that he has to play, and everybody's got to play their role. So I don't disagree in the sense that in a best case scenario, yeah, Cole Perfetti's not your second line winger at the moment, driver. I think he's a good player, and I think with the right, again, I don't think Perfetti and falls into that realm of he's going to take over from the wing, be the absolute force and all of that. But do I think he can ride shotgun on a line with a shooter and a good center? Yeah, I absolutely do. I think there's a good player there. But I agree that if you expect a contending team, that's not where you're going to want him to play. You want him on a third line. And like you said, where are you going to go get not only a second line, but like more so a 1B line? Right. Again, if you're looking at this core, the group that's currently here right now, you need more than what you're getting out of Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor as a number one Stanley Cup caliber line. Like they're not. I know. I'll look like I don't mind looking like a fool for saying this in a season where he has 104 points or whatever it is. He's not a Stanley Cup number 1C. He's not. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of it. You need somebody else there that's going to be able to pick it up when he's not the one going, when Kyle Connor isn't the one going on that line. You just do. You need a 1B to play pretty much similar minutes to what they have. I don't think he's good enough to be the out-and-out number 1C on a Stanley Cup caliber team. I'm sorry.
So let's say Hellebuck bounces back. I think it's a fair bet. I'm not writing him off until I see 2 bad games or seasons against. Let's say he doesn't, though. Where are we sitting here next year? Let's say that knee surgery was the start of some more with the lower body of an elite goaltender at 33 years of age.
It happens.
Let's say Mark Scheifele never touches 100 points again, and this was a one-off. If we're betting on ifs, the power play is going to be better, which we never saw them address this year.
Nope. And
part of that is the talent available. We'd go to games this year, and you're looking at a power play too, and you're laughing.
Yep.
I think it would have been a good power play maybe 10 years ago. So I don't think it's as bad as it was this year. I don't think we're getting anywhere near last year's efficiency moving forward. I could bet on a Connor Hellebuck bounce back. Am I betting on a team that's 2 core piece level players away from being in a conversation about going multiple rounds? Could simply address it without a Nick Ehlers level talent? No. The root problem is the Winnipeg Jets, and Cheveldayoff said it himself, don't have enough assets to go get the level of talent acquired that they would need to contend. They also don't have a farm system that's pushing up quality.
Correct.
There's one out to guarantee yourself a future, and every year you roll the dice chasing wild card 2 for 4 or 5 games to be basically what the Minnesota Wild were for the last decade.
Yep.
They'd keep getting in, and you knew they'd play 5 hard games. That's what you're chasing with your biggest assets on the back 9. And one of those guys falls off. This whole thing's cooked.
It crashes again, like we saw
There
this
is
year.
more risk in my eyes where the Jets stand to the damage that could happen to this franchise long term. Believing a bounce back actually makes them a team that could see a second rounder further. I just don't buy it.
And the thing to remember, too, is so Mark Scheifele turned 33 years old this year. It took him until this season to have his career year in terms of points and all of that. Why do we think that was? Why was it this year? What was so different about the Jets this year that allowed Mark Scheifele to score over 100 points?
Overly dependent.
Overly dependent, exactly, right? We talked all year about his ridiculous amount of minutes, the ridiculous long shifts. If you're expecting this team to be better next season, then that means the Jets have either A, found internal improvement, or B, brought in external improvement, which means they should be less reliant on Mark Scheifele, which means less opportunity, which means he's not getting to you 100 points again. To expect him to do this again next year while also the team being better those things don't add up. So you can't say, well, Scheifele's going to score 100 points again next year and everyone else is also going to get better. And those things don't go together. There are so many ways for this to completely fall apart, and there is like one tiny little sliver of way for it to, quote unquote, go well. And it's just, like you said, the longer you wait, the smaller that window gets, the less the return is going to get, and the longer you're going to be going into that rebuild for. It doesn't make a lot of sense right now when you don't have, like you said, the farm team pushing up the talent or even the ability to acquire external help. I don't see it.
As Nicholas at Night says here, this is the offseason we will look back on in 5 years' time and point to it leading to where the Jets will be then. True North either wakes the fuck up and makes the tough trades or cuts, or they let it turn to mush. So we had a conversation last show, and someone had suggested about the org being scared to rock the boat with the top end guys. They want to have their cake and eat it too, where you're keeping these guys happy and being successful at the same time. And we saw that fall flat this year. I had someone pitch me something interesting, and it made me start looking back at the time of this core. Mike Ferguson. Anyways, we're talking about a different framing on the Johnny Tays signing. And I thought this was interesting, actually, thinking it back through this core. Mikey, stick with me here. So when you think back on the time in Winnipeg through these contending years, all the way back to like 17, 18 and on, we kind of saw a trend. There's a bit of an underlying story with this core that we've seen them trying to address every couple of years. Think back to them trading for Matt Hendricks a couple times. Why was that?
He had to come in and fix the room. We were having the most toxic locker room in the National Hockey League from all reports at that time. And they had to airlift in Matt Hendricks to come save the day.
Okay, so I'm not going the toxic angle because I don't think it's there. But they were bringing in external leadership. Clearly was the quality they were looking for, right? They brought Paul Stastny back the second time to try and address 2C again, but part of that was the leadership angle with Wheeler.
Culture.
We see Paul Maurice step down in the middle of the year. And despite the fact I can't stand that man, the one thing I've always found interesting, every time he's asked about credit in Florida, he talks about the leadership in that room and how they made it easy on him. Sasha Barkov's a special leader. I just had to come in and coach. That was all sorted out. It was a nice change. Stood out to me. Then they go and get Rick Bowness, the culture changer the leadership changer. And we see the impact and how it worked. But every couple of years, you start to see someone come in for that kind of role, right?
Yep.
I had someone pitch an interesting theory. Outside of like jerseys, the Winnipeg homecoming, the great story that Jonathan Toews was, played 82 games this year. I don't think any of us would have bet on that. There's another angle to this Jonathan Toews thing that I don't think we've discussed, and I found it very interesting hearing it. What if this was another, hey, we need to bring in one of the most decorated leaders to show this core what it truly takes? This has been a thing every couple of years. What if Johnny Toews' exit interview has a lot more weight than you would have thought? Someone that Johnny Toews is the most decorated athlete of his generation. One of them, outside the Crosby tier.
Yep.
We know how close that upper relationship was in making it happen here.
Yep.
What if that was a piece of all this, outside of believing he was going to be better than he was? And what does that say about the odds of this core getting there? If that is an angle around all this.
It's interesting.
Talk about a guy that knows.
Yeah, absolutely. That's if you are looking. So first off, I don't know. I can't say whether or not that was part of the process. The way it sounds like it all came together, at least from the public reporting and from the interviews that I've listened to Mark Chipman give, the Taves stuff was a lot of it was Taves and Chipman specifically together. A lot of that came together, the two of them going down to UND together for going down to the States for some certain things. They went also to Humboldt together for the Humboldt tragedy stuff. So there was a lot of it coming from there. So yeah, where there's that's an interesting angle to look at it, because like you said, they have a pattern of every few years needing somebody to come in and provide a level of leadership that they are very clearly lacking a lot of the time. And yeah, whether that's Grandpa Bones or, maybe also part of it driving the bringing in of Jonathan Toews. And it would make the games played bonuses make a little bit more sense as well, right? We need you here. We need you playing. You have to be, so that's it's an interesting angle that I hadn't really considered.
He made you look at this a little differently, Gives you a little optimism that maybe
no.
JT fills Chipman in with some truth bumps?
No. Oh, God, no. I don't think so. I
just found that an interesting
You know what?
theory.
Okay. Yeah, I could maybe see if it was bad enough to piss off Captain Sirius, and that he may go talk to his buddy Mark up top, the other Mark, Mark in charge.
What if he gives some honest assessments?
Yeah, that would be
this roster is.
You know what? That would be a hope. I will. We have no proof of it, but I will wish cast that one into existence.
We got to find optimism, brother.
We got to find it. Let's see if our friend Al Camino has some optimism. We got Al on the line.
I have no optimism.
No optimism.
But I do need to push back again, Nick.
Okay, let's hear it.
Maurice, the reason he's successful is he's not allowed anywhere near the roster. There's no way Zito would give him the leeway that Chipman gave him. Like, if that were to happen, he'd be on the first plane out of town.
There's that. Well, I'm also saying that he's not even taking the credit for himself. It's the leadership crediting it. I'm not crediting Paul Maurice here.
True. And just one other thing, I think we need to touch on the real hero of the day, and that's Murat's passive-aggressive heel turn on WST today. I thought that was fantastic, how he just kind of turned the usual BS talking points that get thrown out on some of our local shows and refuted it with fact and common sense and from knowledge. And this market needs a lot more of that.
Agreed.
No, it was great to hear Murat today. He's been releasing some bangers, too, on the written word. Make sure you subscribe to The Athletic. It's good to see. We need the noise to get louder. We need those saxophones to keep on going here.
Agreed. Anyways, have a good one, gentlemen.
You too. Thanks for the call, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Anything else that came up? Oh, Garrett Brown, 4th rounder,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
2022. Comes from Denver. Signs an ELC. Will likely be with the Moose next year.
Poor kid.
Big college free agent class, though he was obviously their property.
Yeah.
But nice to see some taking some more darts. Everything I've read seems like he's consistently got better. Maybe a third line or third pairing ceiling in the NHL type of defender. Brings some size, right-handed.
He'll be everybody's new favorite Logan Stanley replacement in a couple years.
For sure. He's coming back, brother.
I know. I can just see it this summer.
We're going to do some exercises, and we've had some people asking for them already. Though I think when we do the what would we do if we ran the team episode, I want to wait for that lottery because that is going to adjust things.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we got to wait
So
till
we'll do
after
those at the beginning of May. We'll get you guys to send in what you would do if you were running this team. I think that'd be fun. And when we do the realistic one that they think they're gonna do, it's gonna cripple us, buddy.
I know. I'm so excited to do that one the most because it's gonna be the easiest.
At some point this week, I don't know if we should do it today. Should we do it today? Let's do it. John Reynolds had an interesting idea on the KNR show. Again, give them some love. Sean went off last night. It was great to hear.
Hell yeah, Sean.
Interesting concept for you. Let's talk about it. He's been teasing this big idea, and I've been itching to hear it. You go into the summer, and to fast track this, your first trade in this rising cap environment, he's offering Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor as a duo to those teams on the upswings like the Utahs, the Anaheims, Montreal, that type of team, so that you get some of the young talent off the roster and future picks for bets later.
Oof.
But you get actual NHLers that are coming in next year. Do we see the big Gretzky Curry package deal? Would you do it?
I would do it. I just think it's fucking so funny that we've reached the
It'd be
point
awesome.
that trading them also has to be on the same line. We can't even move them off of the same spot for a trade. This is where we're at, and I just think it's so fun because you have to. They're a package deal, baby. You know, we heard about it earlier. They go together like Ramalama Ding Dong. So yeah. I do it. I'm calling Anaheim. I'm calling any of those teams, especially the ones that's got some D prospects that I like, and I'm going hard. Who wants them? Who wants 105 points here? Who wants 40 goals there? Come on, they're a package deal. They've got a psychic link. Nobody can see the ice better than the two of them together. It'll be great. I'm doing it all day long. That's I love it. It's a great idea by Sean. I just think it's absolutely hilarious that we went 82 games straight, did not play a single game apart, and don't let anybody lie to you and tell you that they started a game together and then got broken up later. That never happened, so you can throw that in the garbage. They played 82 fucking games together, and now the trade packages we have to discuss also include the two of them together. It's just mwah, chef's kiss.
And Mike Friesen throws out a great name that's under talked about in these discussions, Seattle.
Yeah.
They're going to be itching to do something.
And we know they're not good at this either, so that's somebody that you want to target. Call Yarmo up over in Buffalo. I'm sure if we can get Rosane for Stanley, we can get something way better for Scheifele and Connor. Keep them away from my Habs. Stop suggesting Montreal. I see you, John Chan. Stop that.
I think Suzuki Scheifele would win you guys a cup, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I really do.
You mean a Scheifele as the 2C, like I've been saying? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Weird.
Blake G says, the premise of the bombshell was spot on. You make surefire moves instead of picks it and no lottery balls. I like the idea. What's interesting is we haven't seen that type of deal in a long time. But when you think about it, you're offering a team an entire top six line to push. A team like Anaheim, that puts them in contention as the favorite in the Pacific. You do that to Utah, all of a sudden they're in the conversation with Mini, Colorado, Dallas. while hurting Utah's future, in a sense, when you're on the come up.
Yep.
It's interesting, too, because here's my thing with where the Jets are, too, when we try and map things out. I think the NHL's in a bit of a transition phase here. With this big cap growth and the type of players that are hitting free agency, there's going to be unused cap all over the league.
Yeah.
The 32 teams being close to the cap or there is done. It's going to be done. The teams that locked up their cores cheap and bet on them long term, and the teams that are coming out of rebuilds with asset treasure chests are the teams that are best prepped for where this is going. The older teams are at more risk. I think past those teams that are best positioned right now, the teams that are going to come out of this transition phase the best are those fringe older teams that see this as an opportunity to strike rich on their assets and supercharge the rebuild, while teams like Anaheim have a loaded farm and they're already a playoff team. Utah has a loaded farm, already a playoff team. Maybe Chicago gets frisky with the Bedard stuff and they want to speed that up. San Jose, my big theory is they're going to start buying big this summer.
Yep.
Because of Celebrini. And you get a Michael Misa out of there for one of your core guys.
Whew.
I think it's really interesting because of how much cap space is going to be out of there. You'd have to probably take back some money to fit on the roster too.
100%, yeah.
I just think it was a really interesting idea, and I don't think there's any bad ideas right now. And that would certainly be a whopper. And it would keep the memes going.
Yep.
They would still, until the coach and the organization they go to puts their foot down, get to play together.
Look, nothing would be more unique and special than a trade featuring the two of them together. And shout out to T-Will over on YouTube saying Mark and Kyle Sedin should stay together forever. And that's pretty fucking good.
Infinite comment says, sounds like fantasy coffee.
Ah, that's right.
Fantasy.
Never mind.
Hey, I'll say this. I think we're at the point. We all play fantasy GM at times. I would say continuing to bet on this core with a hand you're holding would be like a Jack 8 offsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just
bluffing.
Yeah, it's not good. I think it's fantasy hockey to keep betting on this. But speaking of fantasy hockey, it's kind of funny how quickly the league changes. You see that big story out of Toronto and what was happening in their management group.
Yep.
Not good. Trey Living doesn't look good in it.
Yep.
Keith Pelly is showing up to trade deadline with AI trade ideas.
Oh, God.
We went from trolling fans saying, oh, this isn't EA Sports, to now we're playing ChatGPT. Real life trade deadline.
Oh, God.
So, in honor of Keith Pelly, I downloaded and asked ChatGPT about the Jets situation. Should we hear what the AI overlords think over at ChatGPT
Oh, God.
the Jets should do?
This is gross. Let's do it.
So I said, in Keith Pelly's honor, should the Winnipeg Jets trade off their core of Connor Hellebuck, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, and Josh Morrissey to rebuild their franchise? Short answer, no, not a full teardown, but they should be willing to reshape around the edges if this core tops out again. Let's break it down. The case for major change. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The core has had multiple playoff runs and hasn't broken through. Since their peak in 2018, they've struggled with defensive struggle in big moments, been inconsistent at 5-on-5 against elite teams, and lacked depth scoring when it matters most. At some point, you ask, is this group fundamentally capped? Where do we go here? I might have lost them. Oh, the case against blowing it up. The Winnipeg Jets aren't middling stuck franchise. Incorrect. Bad ChatGPT. They've consistently been competitive with this group. Connor Hellebuck is a Vezina caliber goalie. Those don't grow on trees. Trading him almost guarantees a step backwards. Kyle Connor is an elite, consistent goal scorer in his prime. Josh Morrissey has evolved into a true number one defenseman. And Mark Scheifele still produces at a top-line level, even if he's more polarizing. Teams spend years trying to assemble even two players at this level. Winnipeg has 4. A full rebuild means years of losing, no guarantee of drafting Eagle talent, and risk of wasting prime fan interest and revenue in a smaller market. The middle ground, most realistic path from where the Jets are. Instead of scorched earth rebuild, the Jets should consider a retool with intent. Keep the pillars. Hellebuck and Morrissey should be close to untouchable unless blown away. Kyle Connor is also extremely hard to replace. Me and ChatGPT don't agree. Number 2, be open on Mark Scheifele. If there's a deal that brings a young top-line center or multiple high-end assets, you at least listen and consider it.
Even the computers lost him. Jeez.
Then to do this, you got to aggressively fix depth and identity. Add harder to play against forwards, in brackets, playoff style. Now, this group hasn't shown that they know what the right type of those guys is. Improve defensive reliability in the bottom 6 and second pair. Sorry, Pionk, you're getting demoted. Prioritize speed and forecheck pressure. I like that. 4, coaching system accountability. Sometimes it's not the core, it's how it's deployed. Systems matter in the playoffs. Bottom line, the Jets are too good to rebuild, but not good enough to stand pat. So the real answer is don't blow it up, but don't run it back unchanged either. If Keith Pelly was running the Winnipeg Jets, that is what he would have been bringing into the meetings at the end of the year. What do you think?
Oh, boy. This is why I don't trust AI for stuff yet, guys. It's not quite there yet. Look, did it say a few things that are good things? Sure, that are just generic good things. Speed and forecheck. Yeah, no shit. In terms of like actually understanding where the Jets are at in their process, it says you can't stand pat, but then you also can't do anything. Right? That's not doing anything is standing pat. A quick retool isn't in the cards because the Jets don't have the things to do that. They don't have the capital. They're locked in for contracts. It's just, yeah, the two choices that we have are stand pat or blow it up. And it's, yeah, God, I guess this is the one time I'm okay that our organization is stuck in the 1990s. They haven't figured out to start using ChatGPT yet, so nobody tell Chevy it exists because I feel like that'll be the next thing he tells us how excited he is.
Small McFurry says chat wants a mushy middle Jets team. Hey, suggesting they should at least listen on Scheifele. I'm interested.
Yeah, I like how he's lost even ChatGPT, though. Even the computer, which doesn't really know anything, is like, yeah, but you got to at least trademark Scheifele, right?
Anyways, let's get into a lottery sim on this night. Our next show we'll do after our Neil and Chevy speak. So enjoy your weekends. We'll talk whenever that is. And then a busy off season where there's a lot to talk about. Any and all ideas are up for discussion in this world. So make sure you're around, letting us know your takes. We'll discuss all of them as we enter an interesting off season that likely leads to nowhere. We'll be here for it. Let's get into the lottery sim.
All right, everybody. This is it. This is our last one of the season, last of the 82 games. We got to put all of our good energy into it. You got to send out all the good vibes. Hope for that lottery win. I think we've had 2 number 2s in the last couple shows, the last couple losses. So let's see how we do on this one here. All right, let's pull it up in 3, 2, 1. Hey, holy shit! The number 1 pick goes to your Winnipeg Jets.
What a year! What a year on the landing strip when it came to these sims. If anyone's earned it. I'm also going to look at doing a live event for the Jets sim or the lottery day on May 5th. We'll start looking at that this week.
Yep.
If people are interested, I think that could be some fun, especially if things go well. Could be a big moment for the franchise. Let's see where it goes. Gavin McKenna leaves game 82, a Winnipeg Jet. Could that reshape the conversations we are having? Lots and lots more to discuss. We'll keep diving into it all. Thank you for being here. We will see you after Kevin Cheveldayoff and Scott O'Neill give us their thoughts on the season it was and where this is all going. We'll see you then. Take it easy.
Right on. Good night, everybody.